Hello and welcome back. After some delay, let us continue in learning about the unique characteristics of the phylum in kingdom Animalia. In this video, we'll be learning about the next phylum, which is Phylum Mollusca. If you're ready, let's get started. The phylum of mollusks is most notably known for things like garden snails and cockles, but do not forget that soft-bodied invertebrates such as octopus and squids are also members of this phylum. So having the pictures of these organisms in mind, let us go and have a look at the unique characteristics. First things first, by imagining these organisms, you can already guess what are their habitats. So most mollusks will be in marine and freshwater environments. So that includes many species of snails and cockles, and of course, the well-known octopus and squids. But some mollusks also live in terrestrial environments. So examples of mollusks that live on land are garden snails. The mode of nutrition of mollusks is heterotrophic, so that means they will have to eat other organisms for their nutrients, and their roles in the ecosystem could be as filter feeders like cockles, they could be detritivores such as garden snails, or they could be predators such as squids. So sama ada dia tapis nutrien daripada persekitaran dia, dia makan benda yang sedang reput, ataupun dia menjadi pemangsa. And the basic body plan for mollusks is that they are triploblastic, they have bilateral symmetry, and they are coelomates. By picturing the image of a garden snail and also by looking at the diagram here, you should be able to see that the body of a mollusk will have three main parts. So bila kita tengok dia punya badan nanti, kita bahagikan kepada tiga bahagian utama, which is the muscular foot, kaki dia, the mantle, which is this part highlighted in purple here, and also not forgetting the visceral mass. Visceral mass ni kamu boleh anggap macam badan utama dia, like the main body of the mollusk or snail. Now let's have a look. The body of the mollusk has three parts. The first part is the muscular foot, kaki. Okay, this kaki will sambung kepada kepala dia. Okay, the muscular foot attached to the head, especially is you can see this in snails, and obviously the muscular foot's function is for movement or locomotion. The second part of the body is the visceral mass. So this is the part that will consist of internal organs such as nephridia, hearts, gonads, and digestive tract. We'll talk a bit more about the nephridia later in the slides. And the third part is the mantle. It is a tissue that will cover the visceral mass, and the function of the mantle is to secrete the shell. It will secrete the shell by secreting calcium carbonate to harden the shell. Jadi apa maksud di sini adalah fungsi mantle adalah untuk menghasilkan cangkerang. Dia hasilkan cangkerang dengan mengeluarkan sesuatu molekul yang digelar sebagai calcium carbonate. Okay, dan dia akan melitupi visceral mass. Moving on to the next slide, we'll talk about something that is specific to class Gastropoda. So this is a group of organisms within phylum Mollusca. There is this thing called torsion, and you will see this in organisms that have that swirly pattern that belong in phylum Mollusca. So what happens is, what is torsion? During embryonic development of gastropods, the visceral mass will undergo torsion. Isi dia, badan dia yang bahagian visceral mass tu akan berpusing. Dia macam terbelit. Dia akan ada terbelit macam 180 darjah. There is a rotation of the visceral mass up to 180 degrees, which results in the anus and the mantle cavity of that organism are placed above its head. So masa dia masih embryo, masih dalam telur, badan dia akan terbelit. Jadi bila dia sudah dewasa, lubang dubur dia di atas kepala dia. So this is found in class Gastropoda. And of course, the most obvious example is garden snails. Okay, so you can see there, anus will be above the mouth. Other unique characteristics of mollusk is that they have the mantle cavity. So kamu boleh tengok di bahagian sini, ini digelar sebagai mantle cavity. It is a water-filled chamber. Dia adalah satu ruang yang diisi dengan air. It will contain the anus and also the gills of the organism. So that's where it poops and that's where it breathes. You will also find the respiratory system of the mollusk. And the respiratory system could be the gills, the lungs, or the surface of the body of the organism. So mana-mana tiga ini boleh jadi dia punya sistem pernafasan. They also have a digestive system. The anus will open into the mantle cavity. And they have a tooth radula that is used in feeding. So dalam mulut dia ada ini tooth radula. Let's talk a bit more about that radula. A radula is a rasp-like organ for feeding. So dia macam begini, dia macam cangkuk-cangkuk yang banyak pada satu rantai. Okay. Imagine the conveyor belts that you would find in sushi restaurants or in the airport where you're taking your luggage. This thing will move like the conveyor belt. And it has backward curved teeth that are used for scraping and scooping as a backhoe. There will be videos for mollusk at the end of this lesson as well, so I advise that you would go and watch those or search up your own videos to see how mollusks would use their radula teeth to eat their food. Okay, and this is another unique characteristic that we're going to learn about in mollusks, which is they have an open circulatory system, except in cephalopods. So the open circulatory system, as you can see here, is through their gills. The circulatory system would be partially exposed to the environment through the gills there, and this is what the circulatory system in the mollusk would look like. Other unique characteristics we need to know about is that mollusks have simple nervous system. So they have a ganglia at the anterior. So bahagian depan itu akan ada satu gumpalan sistem saraf. Okay, gumpalan saraf yang digelar sebagai ganglia. So itu boleh juga disamakan dengan otak. And that will extend to the nerve fibers into the foot. Daripada otak dia di bahagian depan akan ada nerve fiber yang sambung dan pergi sampai ke dalam kaki. As shown and highlighted here in orange. Okay, so that is the simple nervous system of the mollusks. Of course, some members of this phylum will have even more advanced nervous system than this body plan, but that is a topic for another time. They also have an excretory system. Tadi kita ada sentuh sedikit pasal nephridia. Sekarang saya akan jelaskan apa itu nephridia. Nephridia or nephridium is the excretory organ in phylum Mollusca. So you can see it over here. It's that little highlighted circle near here around the coelom, not far from the mantle cavity and also the anus, and not far from the digestive tract. The nephridium is kind of like the simple kidney of the mollusks, but we can never call it kidney. We always call it nephridium ataupun nephridia. The nephridium will pump waste into the mantle cavity. So daripada sini dia kumpul bahan-kumbahan dan dia akan buang ke dalam mantle cavity. Okay, so that is it about the excretory system of mollusks. Next, we talk about their reproduction. Mollusks would reproduce sexually. So most mollusks will have separate sexes. So the ovaries or testes will be located in the visceral mass. But some of them are also hermaphrodites. So many snails will contain both the male and the female organs in their visceral mass, but other species would usually have only ovary or only testes in their visceral mass. Again, it goes differently according to species. Most notable example, like I've mentioned many times, is the garden snail, also called as Achatina species. Right, so that is it. That is all for this very short video talking about mollusks. You can go ahead and look at this video lesson here on what are mollusks by Jonathan Bird's Blue World to have a better picture and better understanding of what mollusks are like in the wild. So that's all for me for this lesson. Thank you very much for your time and your attention, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!